I'm Rafian Stotts, Bellator champion, and tune into the Don't Tap
Don't
podcast.
Tap podcast. We are back. Finally. It's been a little bit of time, man. How the hell you been?
Good, man. Good. Just some personal stuff going on, and got a new house and all that fun stuff, and just been dealing with that. And now things are slowing down a little bit, so we can jump back in and get back to it.
So real life stuff. And now we're
Yeah,
back to, fantasy land right now. Where we pretend to be cappers and give our 2 cents and watch some video as have you seen Sadiq Yusuf's unprofessional breakdowns?
this is the funniest thing, man. I look forward to it every
He
week
makes me
now.
feel like I don't even want to do the podcast every week. It is so fun. Like, I'm still going to, but it's just so funny, man. Um, yeah, he has 3 syllables in his name, so I think he might actually lose in the third round. Like he says shit like that. It's just so funny.
And every person without a screen, he's like, "And Michael Bisping is gonna win."
Yeah,
It's fucking
it's
great, man.
it's a good parody. Definitely enjoy that. Actually, before we jump in and even recap sort of last week's picks, I know that you had some picks in the chat. We'll go over that a little bit. I just wanted to go through BetStamp and talk about them really quickly. So BetStamp being our sponsor for the past little while now. If you guys don't know about BetStamp and what they bring to the table with the app, it's a community of bettors, of gamblers, of whether it's football, hockey, baseball. Baseball is coming up, mixed martial arts, which runs year round, which is why I love it so much. BetStamp is there for you as far as a community. So you can bounce, bets off of other people in the community. There is a Discord that is available to you, depending on where you go with BetStamp. On top of that, too, man. I mean, I know that you've noticed the difference too in parlays, and sometimes even just staying off parlays. When you're trying to find lines, especially in fights, when lines are so chalky, like we have this weekend. This is a great example here. Like what's Gary sitting at right now? I think he's like I have the line sitting down there. I think it's -6, -6 plus, right? Minus six
Yeah,
fifty or something like that. And when you're trying to find some of these people that you know are going to win and you want to actually parlay the chalk, find the best lines, right? Cool Bet seems to be a line that we're looking at right now. Not to give them just a specific shout out, but some of the best lines are there. And I got that actually on the BetStamp app to be able to break that down for you. So we're going to give you the best lines today. But I just wanted to highlight, BetStamp itself, the community itself. The Discord is popping with hot takes nonstop. It's a great community. Some celebs, as far as people that cap, people that run podcasts are also in there as well too. Jason Anik actually is part of the team as well for BetStamp. So just definitely a great group, and check out the app. So when you do actually download the app, use the promo code Don't Tap, DONTTAP. Don't tap. All right, let's get into it. So we look back at last weekend, some Canadians, um, you know, road, and one thing I learned again that I sort of stayed up doing the podcast earlier in the week. I put my picks out late in the week, and I let podcasts that I like to listen to every now and then influence me. And I think that anybody that comes in here and gets fully influenced, even listening to us or anybody else, I don't think that's the way to go. I think you need to have your own takes, the ones that you feel really strongly on, and then get perspectives from different people to really get what you're looking at. And, not being on the Selecki second round submission when that's a line that I typically play. When someone's going to be a submission candidate for me, I'm on that second round sub because second round sub is a very high probability. So, miss the Selecki one. As far as the play, I did end up getting it in the chat before the fight went up. So in the Don't Tap chat, we hit on the Suarez second round sub as well too. I mean, she's that much of a favorite, and we're not looking at the inside the distance play. That should have been my inside the distance play at like +130 or whatever it was. That was great value last week. We look at Jasmine Jazz Devicious. We got her at plus money at +110. Wrestling elbow is exactly what I called. She got caught off guard in the last fight, and I think that devalued her. She was able to do what she needed to do, get her wrestling going, comfortable in the apex, just went to work. And Mike Malott, I mean, he literally said most of his wins come in the first round in the interview I did with him. And then he was talking about how like he's a really cerebral thinker. And he ranked, and this is where I should have caught it, he ranked where he had the advantage in a number system. He gave me numbers. He said, number one, I'm better than him in jiu-jitsu and grappling. He said, number two, in the wrestling game. And number three, it's then in the striking game. And why did I not we got in the submission, we got in the round two submission, which was not something that didn't hit. But that under 1.5 hits for us. But man, I think that round one submission was a missed spot. But still, I mean, we ended up cleaning up on that one too. What were some of your takes, some of your picks going into that, and what played out for you? And then we'll jump into the pay-per-view.
Yeah, man. Last weekend, like actually, I did great. I almost even cashed out Brendan Allen by decision at plus 500, which was 30 seconds away from cashing. But I had Augusto Sakai minus 110 that cashed. Tatiana Suarez by finish at plus 125. Michael Malott inside the distance minus 110, and then I just had a nice chalky parlay where I had Malott, Suarez, Saki. Or Sakai, sorry, Brendan Allen and Nikita Krylov, which cashed as well, despite the main event not happening.
So what you're saying is we could have used you last week, and like you said in the chat, see, I need you, man. We need to bounce. I come in with some good stuff. You come in with some good stuff. We usually course correct each other and get on the right look. Sometimes we talk each other off the looks. Usually you talk me up shit. But that's because my shit seems a little bit out there. You always come with a more logical approach, and I have the stuff that's more like very specific round props. It never started that way, which was sort of odd because usually it started where I was very chalky and you were very proppy. But anyway.
But like you said, man, like you got to learn to listen to certain people. Like I was heavy on Brendan Allen, and a lot of people that I talk to and listen to, they were all just like, nah, Muniz is better. He's gonna be able to take him down. Allen's kind of washed, and so I didn't really go heavy on it. I said I played the plus 500 and had him in a parlay just to get rid of some of that juice that was on there. But yeah, like to me all week, man, I was like, this guy, like I do not understand his line. I don't like betting on specialists, especially specialists that proven to have gassing issues and stuff like that. So I really wish, especially like the plus 185, I think he closed that. I wish I hammered that a little bit more, but
yeah, I don't really know what the game plan was there. Muniz was like, he was having success with the big strong hooks, and he was punches and bunches landing about 3-punch combinations, and he was landing. Right. And Allen just takes the shots. Why didn't he shoot for a takedown? He was pushing him back and hitting him. As soon as you land one of those shots, he's thinking about the shot, duck under. Like, I don't know shit, but I do know that. Like it's sort of it's a binary, simple thing, right? You know, fighters can even make jokes about can we break down this or break down that, but there's binary shit, right? To get into the real idiosyncrasies of breaking down a fight, maybe we can't figure that out unless we really, really do our homework. But that's pretty binary. Like your win advantage is on the ground by submission. Yeah, Allen does have a great submission game, but I mean, if you catch him, rock him, and the way Muniz goes for a submission, it's right away. It's opportunistic. He grabs you, it's done, and that's it. And that's his only way he was going to get out. I don't think he was going to work towards a submission against Allen. Allen's too crafty. But Allen gets touched, man. Like I was saying before, so it's going to be a fade in the future. Not because I don't like him. I'm actually a fan of him. He's just one of those guys that. I mean, he's on a fight win streak, but I think one of his fights, we could argue that split. I think is a split decision. That I don't know if he had won that fight. Regardless, we move on. We needed you last week. We could have maybe split that up a little bit better, but you were doing some very important things, making real money. So let's jump into UFC 285. Holy shit! I was not sure if I was ever going to get to break down a Jon Jones fight. I'm actually pretty excited that I get to do that today. And I know that everybody, this is like one of those fights where everybody has a very strong opinion on. You're either a Gane or a Jones. If you're Ciryl Gane, you have very strong opinions, apparently. I've had some conversations with people on Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. And man, this is going to be one, if it doesn't end decisively, there's going to be a lot of people talking shit in MMA Twitter. So we have Jon Jones coming in. 26-1-0, and that one does not count for me. The disqualification against Hamill, the downward elbow, he was destroying him in that fight. So that's 27-0 in my opinion, and always has been. Against Ciryl Gane, who is a solid kickboxer, but the one thing Jon Jones actually pointed out on Twitter, and it sort of is true, he hasn't really faced a wrestler yet at a high level. And it's quite interesting to see how that's going to play if Jon Jones decides to be a D1 Jon Jones and come in and just slam this man to the mat if he needs to. But we have Ciryl Gane coming in at 11-1-0. So Jon Jones right now can be had favorite minus 154 best stamp bet at CoolBet. We have Ciryl Gane 11-1-0, and he can be had for plus 140 dog at North Star. So that's the best bet at both of those locations. So for you, I'm going to let you take this one away. I'm going to let you start off. Is it Jon Jones coming back, heavyweight Jones, being able to run his very smart game plan against, a very smart Ciryl Gane, who's a kickboxer with submission game?
Yeah, so I'll be the first to say, man, I'm not one of these people coming in here thinking I got a clue what's going to happen in this fight. Because in reality, like, we haven't seen Jon Jones fight in such a period of time that it's kind of blows my mind that everybody's coming in here with such strong opinions on this one. And the reality is, Jon Jones didn't look great coming off his last couple losses. They were very controversial. And the same people that were backing him were saying that he lost to Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes and stuff like that. So for me, I know he just signed like a 7-fight contract. I'm excited for this fight, but I don't really know how to break it down, just in the sense that, like, we've never seen him at heavyweight. We don't know if cardio is going to be an issue, putting on all that muscle. And I think the line's going to keep moving as the week progresses because of that. I think you could probably target this fight from an over perspective. I don't think we see a finish in it. And I think it's probably the best way to handle it. Or just sit back and, as you said, man, we all grew up watching Jon Jones and see if he still has the capability to do it. Because I said there's no real way for me to bet on this one with like a confident point of view. So I'm going to side with Gane just because he's been more active. And the fact that we actually have something to base off what we're getting ourselves into. If it stays striking, I feel like he is the better kickboxer in this fight. He's younger and more active. And with Johns, though, as I said, if he comes in here and just wrestles and really puts that pace on it, it could be interesting. So I'm just more excited to see Jon Jones back in the octagon and see what, like, really this heavyweight transition is going to prove to show.
See, I know that you say that with Ciryl Gane, there's more to show, but see, I'd still argue, even though with all that time off, with what Jon has done in the game, even though he has squeaked by in those last couple fights, and I think even he sort of alluded to that those were pretty close fights. Man, he's just that good. He's that smart. And that doesn't go away. That wisdom's only gonna gain with age, and that was the best part of his game, right? Now he's coming back. He's bigger, stronger. Yeah, the cardio could be a little bit of an issue. That could be a question. It's one I don't really care about. This isn't the idea that I'm married to, that he's gonna win. I just think a strong Jon Jones is gonna come back. I think that we're gonna see a very solid performance by him. It's gonna be up to Gane to win this one. Like, it's not gonna be Jones that's gonna give him this one. I think Jones is gonna come out and do what he does so well on the feet and be able to gauge that distance. And then if he needs to, and I was talking with somebody in the chat actually about, with regards to Jones, and just where he'll, at whatever point, if he feels like he's behind, he's going to take him down to the ground. Like, it's going to happen. And I don't know if he's going to be able to, Gane's going to be able to get in to get that big shot to knock him out clean. And if he doesn't, I think that Jones just goes to the wrestling. Even if he gets rocked, I think he goes to the wrestling, and I think he's able to do that. That just doesn't go away. Right? Like, none of that just disappears because he's been out for a certain amount of time. The only question could be, is the biggest thing is the cardio, right? I don't think that a guy at that level and that pedigree, I don't even know if ring rust is a true thing at that level. Like a crazy, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he's going to have a little bit going in, but not to the level where I think he's not going to be able to click into a gear at some point, right? It's just whether or not can Gane get to him early. I think Gane needs to, man. Gane needs to pressure him early. But also be smart with that the wrestling defense as well too. He's going to be taken down, I think. I mean, look what Francis Ngannou did to him.
But
right?
see, I hear that argument so much, and Gane was literally 1 round away from winning that if he didn't go for a knee bar in the 5th. So yeah, Francis Ngannou did take him down like in the 4th round, and I believe it was the 4th round that was the decisive one that kind of solidified that wrestling, where he picked him up close to the cage and slammed him. But see, that's the thing, man. Like, we're gonna debate back and forth on this because we don't know. So
but what's a Jon Jones, a wrestling heavy Jon Jones, or even a Jon Jones that's forced to wrestle, gonna do to him compared to what Francis did to him in this situation? That's my only thing, right?
I think with all that muscle, if he overexerts himself, he's gonna gas and struggle to get the takedowns laid. So I don't
see. The one thing that's interesting is the new wrinkle in the new team, right? We don't know, even like, he's come in so methodical in his approaches. That is going to be an uncontrolled variable. I think that's more of a thing than the time away. I think the new people in his camp, the new people around him not having Winklejohn, breaking down his striking, I think that is more of a conversation that we don't know about. And that could either bring a monster or someone that gets caught, right? If it does go one way or the other, it could just be in the middle and Jon just sort of runs his own style still. But, he could come in with a more aggressive game plan. He could go in and knock him the fuck out early. Or you could go in and get
Good.
caught, right? I mean,
But I
so you
don't.
are right. There is some variables with the time off, but I don't think it's time. I think it's more the people you change camps with. But I just think the pedigree, I'm going to be on the Jones side of it as far as a pick. Do I see me, I just think as far as being able to get Jones at that number, I'm a guy who's always wanted to get Jones at a number like that, even though he is time off. And I think I have to do it, right? We don't have to make it a podcast play, but I think I gotta hammer Jones in that one myself. We can make it a combative one, maybe.
It's
maybe
definitely a
push
playable
that
number. Like if you look at the decision line, it's only plus 187, so there's not much value left to go the other way on it. At minus 170, it is a good number. If you're on the Jones side, and it says you're very well right, like he could come in here and just starch him. It's just based on what I saw in Jones's last 2 fights, I would say the Gane would win this fight.
We could see a 5-round wash, rinse, and repeat of
Yeah.
wrestling, right? And if we see that, it's going to be an easy, decisive decision because he will be active on the ground as well too. And then that money looks so good, and I would feel so dumb if I don't touch it.
It's true.
You know what I mean? That's my only thing, and it's one of those ROI things. Even though it is from a distance of time, but it's an ROI thing. I just think I got a hammer. I used to hate him. I used to bet against him all the time, right? So, next fight on the card, we have the champ, Valentina Shevchenko, 23-3-0, minus 600 at DK. Best bet, Alexa Grasso, 15-3-0, plus 450 at DK. So this one I'm going to let you take away again. I mean, I think the little wrinkle that we saw in Shevchenko, I think her line is maybe a little bit lighter than what it normally would be. Normally she's a little bit wider, I think, in her line, but she showed that, the takedown defense isn't quite exactly perfect. She showed that she can be controlled on her back. People argue that she lost that fight against Santos. Santos had a great showing in that fight. So there is that wrinkle, but I mean, Valentina is so smart. I would imagine she's gone away from that fight and really clean that up and tighten that up. And Grasso, I guess I may as well just sort of do my take on it. But Grasso, solid boxer, amazing, solid boxer. Typical grit of the Mexican boxer. The only time I can sort of say something that sounds remotely racist and sort of get away with it when I'm talking about it, the grit of a Mexican boxer is a real thing. The reality of Grasso is she showed great wrinkles in her submission game or in the grappling game as well too. But I don't know if she's gonna be able to get Shevchenko down the same way Santos did. And I don't know if she's gonna be able to control her the same way. And if it stays out on the feet, it's gonna be fun to watch. It's definitely gonna be fun to watch. But I just think Shevchenko wins that one. Obviously, with the number, it's definitely showing you that. I just don't think Grasso's the one. Santos, we didn't think was going to be the one at all, and she surprised us quite a bit. We shall see who's coming up. Who do you think actually does it to Shevchenko? You think she's going to do it?
I don't think Grasso's the one. I did initially, and then whenever I started watching tape, I think I was just a little biased on the last one. So I have to be on the Shevchenko side, minus 700, go figure. But I think this fight's going to be close. I think we are going to see the end of Shevchenko's reign in the next year or two. I think we've started to see some weakness and, started to see her career slow down and everything like that. But I just think with Grasso, the path for her to lose is so obvious. The fact that she's not the greatest grappler and Shevchenko has such a grappling advantage on it that I think Shevchenko will be able to take her down early and often. If I do see that Shevchenko is deciding that she wants to strike, I might throw down a live bet or something like that. Because I think striking-wise, I think it would be relatively competitive. I don't necessarily think Grasso would win it. But at plus 500, I'd be stupid to not take a stab at it. But I think ultimately Shevchenko takes her down, probably gets a late finish or rides it out to a decision.
See, I don't even know if she's going to need to really do that, man. I think she could actually even work a distance game against Grasso. Maybe it's a little bit riskier, not as smart, but I just think the boxing versus the actual kickboxing, I just think she's going to be able to run her range really well. We might see some takedowns mixed in, but I don't know if she's going to have to really run a wrestle-heavy game plan. You may see her go for a submission at some point a little bit earlier in the fight if she gets her down, but I don't know if she gets to it. And once she doesn't do that, I think we may see this play out on the feet a little bit more. But obviously, Shevchenko's aside. We don't need to talk too much more about it. The line's too wide, not touching it. So far, we have a battle play in the main event. Nothing on the Grasso Shevchenko. So Jeff Neal, 15-4-0. Best bets at BetStamp. We have plus 390 at North Star. Shavkat Rakhmonov is coming in 16-0-0, minus 455. BetStamp, best bet, a cool bet. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, man. Obviously, you got to side with Shavkat on this one. I think this fight's gonna be closer than people think. I know people are really high on Shavkat, and I think this is another one of these fights where, in the reality, they're kind of giving him tailor-made fights to get him to the top here. Like Jeff Neal hasn't really been exposed too much on the ground, but that's probably going to be his weakness. He's a good technical boxer, but at the end of the day, like Shavkat's shown time and time again that he doesn't entertain the idea of being in places he's not comfortable with. So I think he gets him down early, and I think he gets the submission in the first round or early in the second.
Yeah, I mean, Shavkat obviously is the side. I think a lot of people know that. Minus 455, probably a little bit too wide for someone with the striking, like you're saying, of Jeff Neal. But Jeff Neal, I mean, he's more of a one-way striker versus Shavkat, who's more of a two-way striker. And what I mean is Neal sort of just moves forward, right? He can move forward. He throws a couple shots out there. If you throw your shot, then he'll try to counter you on that. But he's still trying to press forward. That's sort of his shtick. Shavkat can fight backwards, running on his back foot, forwards. He runs his distance really well, and he sets up his takedowns really well as well too. So if this ends up along the side of the cage where Neal sort of, flurries in, it gets pressed up against the cage, then he's in a lot of trouble because that's where Shavkat's really, really crafty. He'll throw elbows. He'll be able to run overhooks, underhooks, and do whatever he needs to do to reverse that, chain wrestle it down to the ground and finish you. The guy really is the real deal. He's stone cold, very, very scary. He's the side in this one, obviously. I mean, Jeff Neal, I know a lot of people are looking at him at plus 390 and thinking that's probably one of the value plays of the week. I don't argue that that's not, because it's MMA, and he does have some, decent stand-up and power in his hands. And he has come a long way as far as, a lot of us, I think, had expectations where the cardio might not be there. He might fade late. He's been able to press on and do what he, run his own game plans and do pretty well. But I just think this is the wall that he runs into. He knows he's the dog. I'm not touching it at plus 390. I get the value on it. I'm not making it a play. I'm on the Shavkat side, and depending on a parlay, we'll probably parlay that up just because. And that might even be the anchor in a parlay, actually, as far as the hedge. Next fight on the card. This one actually was just announced. How long ago was Mateusz Gamrot announced? About a week ago?
Yeah, about a week ago.
Okay, so we have Mateusz Gamrot coming in at minus 215 at DraftKings, 21-2-0 versus Jalen the Tarantula Turner, 13-5-0 plus 185 at DraftKings. Man, as far as those lines, those are the best stamp, best bets. What is your take on this one? I'll let you take this away. I'm pretty excited about this. I think Gamrot does pose a lot of problems with the line. I mean, I hope it goes wider. I hope there's not love coming in on Turner, because if it goes over 200, we'll be talking. But I may even already jump on it. What's your take on this one? Gamrot.
Yeah, to be honest, the line's going in the weird direction, man. Like I took Turner at plus 140, and I thought that would I thought the line was gonna get dropped down, and surprisingly it's sitting at a plus 175 now, at least on bet 365. So I'm on the Turner side, man. Like I think Mateusz, I think he's a little bit exposed. I think he's one of these fighters that has an aggressive, strong grappling, an aggressive like grappling approach to his fights. But I think with Turner, man, like the long legs, long arms, I think this guy's definitely growing into a better fighter. His striking's far better than Mateusz's, in my opinion. And even on the ground, I feel like he'll be able to either snatch something up, or he'll be able to reverse him and put him in an uncomfortable position. So I like Turner in the spot, man. And I agree with you. Hopefully that number keeps going the other way. I'm gonna go round 2 submission.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a fight that was set straight from the get-go, and Gamrot had a full camp and everything was lined up, I may be on the Gamrot side of this, depending on how the line finished. But I mean, we're looking at Jalen Turner, who's going to have the size advantage in this. I think has a striking advantage in this. And the one thing when you go to take down a guy who's a lot longer, and we won't know until we see it happen, but it may be a problem for Gamrot. He's got the leverage, he's got the length in the arms. You get those arms in there for overhooks and underhooks, and Jalen Turner could create a problem. Next, he's opportunistic with those neck chokes as well too. So I mean, that's why the line, it's there, man. On the feet, I think he's the win is Jalen Turner. And then when in that transition, he's gonna have to be aggressive. He can't accept the takedown completely. He's gonna have to get aggressive on that neck right away, with what he's done in the past as well too. Or as soon as he hits that ground, floor is lava. He's gonna have to hip out and get up and get that top leverage to be able to get that guillotine if he needs to get to the fence, and run that, reverse chain wrestling and get out of there. Right. If he's able to get it to the feet, like more than 2 times, man, he's definitely decided this, and you may want to get it on him live just before he goes to chalk. I'm with Jalen Turner on this one. I think even at plus 185 will make him a play. I just think the short notice from Matus with him being wrestle heavy, even though that's his life, and typically wrestlers that big grapplers, that's their life. With that, they can actually come in and on short notice. The cardio is there for it. They're used to it. But that being said, I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be a challenge for him. I think if this goes a little bit later, it could favor Turner even more. So I will go Turner, and I think we'll make that possibly a play depending on how this all looks at the end. Sound good?
Works for me.
Okay, next fight on the card, we have a line that, we don't need to talk long about this one because it's just stupid. I may just out of ethical reasons, like, I don't think he wins the decision, but I don't know, maybe like a KO. Because Jimmy Pickett at plus 1,000 against Bo Nickel minus 1111. Absolutely crazy. I don't even need to tell you that, well, whatever. Pickett can be had at Pinnacle, and Bo Nickel can be had at Coolbet. I'm not even going to highlight this fight, so I don't care if we broke this one down perfectly to tell you the lines for BetStamp, because this is just not a line to touch unless you just want to hit Pickett by a crazy KO. I don't know what the line is, but I don't hate somebody to throw $5 on it because it's just so stupid, the line. Like right now, Bo Nickel, we know the wrestling's there. We know that he's the guy that could take Pickett down, grind him down, submit him, TKO him, but I just don't know, man. You never know. So once the levels get bigger and bigger for him, I think obviously Nickel should ride, and the line being what it is fine, but I don't know, man. What's your take on this one?
Yeah,
just sloppy breakdown of it. It's just because there's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there's no value left at all on him, man. Like Bo Nickel, Jamie Pickett is notorious for having a bad takedown defense.
Oh yeah,
this is a set-up fight.
Okay, next fight on the card we have Cody Garbrandt minus 170 at DK, and I couldn't find best bets yet. So I just went to DraftKings just to get the lines, because not all lines I think are out on this one. I could be wrong. But Cody Garbrandt coming in 12-5-0, minus 170 favorite at DraftKings against Trevin Jones, 13-9-0, plus 145 at DraftKings. I'm interested to hear what your take is on this one, because really, I just don't know. I don't know where to gauge the whole thing about Cody. The guy I'm a fan of. The guy's boxing, when he's in it, is actually really solid. When he doesn't brawl, good ground game. And I just don't know. He's been, pulled into some big brawls. He's been knocked out. And as a fan, I don't know shit, but I don't want to keep seeing it. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep seeing the guy getting knocked out. He's got a cute kid, a beautiful wife. So it does need to happen. But I'm not the guy. So he will continue to fight. And I'm looking at this fight as just the fight doesn't go the distance. I don't know what it's steamed at already. But I will let you jump in with your analysis, and then you can break down what the fight doesn't go and the unders and what they are.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm going to side with Cody Garbrandt on this one. And I think there's a reason why the line isn't moving. Because as much as Trevin Jones is what he is, he's a powerful puncher, and he could easily come in here and clean Cody's clock. I would play the round 1 KO for Jones because that's his most viable option to win this fight. But hands down, Cody Garbrandt is a superior fighter to this. This is such a step down in competition that if he does not win this fight, he should step away from the sport, especially if he just gets knocked out in the first. Trevin Jones, I said, decent fighter, but we're just talking levels of difference. Cody's boxing should be able to keep him far away from Trevin Jones even landing a shot on him. So I like Cody in the spot, man. I think I said he'll be able to get Jones out of there either late or even ride to a decision. Because I don't think he's going to come out here overly aggressive. If you watch Trevin Jones tape, it's either he gets KO'd or he has some of those lackluster performances where he just gets gun shy and doesn't throw anything. So I think Cody will be able to dance around him, man. Big cage, mix up the wrestling when he wants to, and just use his superior boxing to piece him up.
Yeah, it's actually a good point on Trevin Jones. He's sort of similar to a guy we'll talk about a little bit later, which is Manny Martinez, who has some of the talent, the skills, the stand up, the power, and just doesn't seem to quite put it together. And I does seem to be more of a mental thing. Doesn't quite seem to get going in his fights, and then find himself behind. Um, and yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I'm probably gonna just completely stay off this fight. I could definitely see Jones just finish Garbrandt really early and pull him into a brawl and do that. But the level thing is something I thought about as well too. You're definitely running that. There's such a huge disparity in levels. We're talking about former champion, and then we got Dana White Contender Series guy essentially. Well, maybe give him a little more respect than that. He's beyond that now, but I mean, they've just sort of met up at a weird point in Cody's career. I mean, I think the best thing here, I don't know how many more fights he has on his contract, and maybe but I'd love to see him actually put on a great performance and parlay it into one boxing match. Go out and get a boxing match, go make some big money for your family, and hang it up. But that's too perfect, I think. So we'll see how that one plays out. I'm not even really. I mean, I think I'll go with Cody. I think you're right. The difference the difference as far as the strength of schedule, the competition is there. So I think we'll go with Cody. But I think the official play should be fight doesn't go the distance. What's that sitting at currently?
I do not think I have a line on it. Let's see what best fight odds has for it. I got this stuff all over the place.
You mean that step?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, right now fight doesn't go to decisions, minus 230.
Yeah, okay. So that's start. So I mean you're gonna be
Yeah.
looking at the under. And that might get risky. All right, I don't know. Maybe there's just nothing on that fight to touch. But we will move on to the next one, and I think I may jump on this one. I don't know yet. I'm in a battle with myself on this one. So we have Derek Brunson coming in at plus 215 dog. Best bet stamp bet can be found at Coolbet versus Dricus Duplessis minus 220 at Pinnacle. So we got Brunson coming in at 23-8-0 against Duplessis 18-2-0, and a huge difference in the strength of schedule here. Brunson fighting pretty much at the championship ranks for some time now, and although Duplessis is moved his way up and fought some big fights, this is a wide line, man. Very interesting. I get that Brunson's stand up, he leaves his head up at times. I get that he finds himself standing in front of guys and he's throwing his big overhands and he gets caught and clipped at points. But man, his wrestling is dominant and he lands his takedowns. He's landing like 1 to 3. The guy's pretty much, I don't know how many, I didn't double check before we got on, but he's probably landing at least four takedowns a fight. And Duplessis, I mean, in the world of the new judging, could definitely get back to the feet and land some bigger shots on the feet. And if it goes to the decision, that could be it. But Brunson's also active on the ground too, lands big shots. So, man, I just think I think we have another situation where we have someone sort of falling down the ranks and someone moving up the ranks, and there's a little bit of a strength of schedule thing here. And I think the line's just too wide. So, man, I don't know. What's your thought on this one? Am I just crazy for thinking that the ROI in Brunson was so good and I think we should probably take a shot at him?
Yeah, so I actually already have a shoey bet on this fight with somebody else, and in not in our Don't Tap chat, but in a guy named Zach in another chat that I'm with about fights. And I'm on Brunson, man. Like, I think Duplessis may be one of the sloppiest fighters I've ever seen in my life. Like, I compare his striking to what we saw with Trevor Peek last week, who was throwing punches like your drunk stepdad who's mad at you. Like, I just think that is like his striking is so bad. And like, yeah, whatever. He's looked good against some guys, but like, the dude has no idea what a jab is. He throws the most wild hooks and punches. And like with somebody with Brunson's pedigree, you would assume this is just going to open up opportunities for the takedowns. I've seen a lot of people comparing it to Jared Cannonier and stuff like that. Jared Cannonier is a fantastic boxer and hits like a Mack truck. Like, he's a scary dude. Like, when he starts whipping those calf kicks around, like, it's a dangerous game. And I just I don't rate Duplessis that high, man. Like, yeah, he beat Darren Till, who's won one fight against Kevin Gastelum in the last like 5 years. Like, that's his best win, and everything besides that hasn't been impressive. So I think Brunson comes in here, man. I think he gets him down, and I think he finishes him.
Like, look at it like this. No matter what your opinion is on Darren Till and his slide in the UFC, how good of a kickboxer is Darren Till? How good of a guy is he on the feet? Right?
Yeah.
What did Brunson do to him? Right? We were on that spot. What did Brunson do to him?
Took him down and mauled him.
Mauled him. And I believe he submitted him in that fight, right? I just think that Brunson's aside too. I mean, I'm pulling up his most recent fights. So he has his canceled belt with Hermanson. Before that is Jared Cannonier. He beats Darren Till. He beats Kevin Holland. He beats Shabazian. He beats Heinisch. And he loses to Adesanya beforehand. What are we talking about? I just don't understand how don't get me wrong. If you wanted to say based on momentum and where this is at, if this was more of a pick'em, but Brunson would say, plus 105, plus 110 dog, sure, I'm with you. I get it, right? I get it. We want to fade him a little bit and the line would look that way. But this line I think it's way off. I think the wrestling does it. I think everybody's scared of wrestling and judging now, and the lines are starting to correct to that situation. They're starting to fade wrestlers. And I think when you have a guy who's going to land some big shots too in Brunson, I think you're right with the feet. There's going to be wide swings and hips are going to be exposed and hips are going to be taken. So I'm on the Brunson side, and I think he's probably going to be our dog of the week. I thought we were going to look at someone else's dog of the week, but as much as Jalen Turner looks good as dog of the week, we may be on two, or maybe make Turner a prop play. I don't know. We'll figure out how it all shuffles out. But I'm with you on that 100%. Next fight on the card, we have Viviane Araújo plus 108 at Bet99. Bet stamp best bet 11-4-0. Amanda Ribas 10-3-0 minus 115 favorite, can be had at minus 115, as I said, at Sports Interaction, the bet stamp best bet. I'm gonna let you take this one away. What's your take on this one? Viviane Araújo against Amanda Ribas, or Amanda Ribas. You always sort of correct me on that, but it's Ribas.
I like Ribas in the spot, man, but this fight's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be greasy, and I think if you play this fight at all, you play the fact that it's gonna go to decision. Because with Araújo, man, she's a very good striker as well, good grappler, and it's gonna be tough. I think there's one of these fights where you can do one of those prop bets, like split decision or something, because I think both these girls match up so stylistically well that it's really gonna come down to what the judges are favoring more. So I'm gonna slightly lean Ribas. I think she'll be Ribas. I just corrected myself.
It's all good.
I think that she'll be the busier fighter, and I think she'll land the bigger punches. But this is a greasy one, man. You're not getting much value on either side. There's no plus money in this one.
Yeah, both girls there's some parts where they cancel each other out. Araújo has a little bit of the power, plots forward, but we have Ribas was a little more technical striking, a little more measured that way. But when it comes down to it, it's going to be probably contested on the floor at least at some points. And Ribas has the distinct advantage there, but you could see points where they negate each other, and it's going to go back and forth. And the line for me, obviously, it's pretty much a pick 'em, and this is likely going to be maybe your over parlay. Add it over to your parlay might be the plan. Now, what's the over 1.5 sitting at right now, or 2.5?
The over 2.5 right now. Let's check here.
Oh, the ladies' finishes are now trending in inside the distance, which is
minus 275.
Yeah, I mean, it is difficult because ladies' fights are trending inside the distance. So, I mean, that would be more of a play maybe closer to fight time if you build a parlay, get the over 1.5, depending on your book, because you will be able to get the over 1.5 in most books. So, okay. Next fight on the card, we move on to Julian Marquez, plus 130, best bet stamp bet at Pinnacle, 9-3-0. Marc-Andre Barriault, minus 129, bet 9-9. 14-6-0. So we got the Canadian coming up against I don't know if he's displaced anymore, Julian Marquez. I'm not sure where he's training out of. So we'll dig into this one. I mean, we got Marquez. We know what he has. He has big power, lower volume, very strong grappling, strong top game. Once he gets in on your neck in any which way, it's a problem. And part of it is the strength, part of it is the technique, but has gassed at times. And even when he has sort of stretched it into later rounds, his mouth's still open. He's there to be hit. I'm on the favorite side of this, and I know a lot of people want to fade Barriault in this, but I think this is a good matchup for him. I think although he has been caught at points, and I know he did get caught in submission most recently, he's been training like an absolute madman down at Killcliff. He's been training with the likes of Aaron Jeffrey nonstop. They've been punching each other. I made a joke with Aaron online. They've been punching each other in the face quite a bit every day. Like every day, they're punching each other in the face. They're grappling. They're nonstop. That team, that camp is absolutely scary. The Leech is down there. You got Ian Gary down there. You got Mbaka Sangane down there. You got just a crew of guys. Nick Lentz down there coaching and training with everybody as well too. It's a scary camp, although it's bigger, and some people don't like the bigger rooms because you don't get this focused look. It's just, iron and steel and just crazy shit sharpening each other, all in there in one big stew of high level. So I think this is going to be a Barrio spot. I think Barrio will pressure him. I think it's going to create an issue for Marquez. I think he's going to close the distance on him, not allowing him to actually land that big shot. Barrio more comes down the middle with the shots versus, we have the wide up shots of Marquez. I think he's going to be able to play that where he needs to. A lot of people are scared of the chin, so this is the fade spot. A lot of people are actually on the Marquez side. But I'm on the Barrio side. Give me Barrio minus 129, bet 99.
Yeah, I'll slightly side with Barrio too. This is one of these ones where I've gone back and forth a little bit. I can see the argument on both sides for sure. The reason why I side with Barrio is because it kind of just comes down to fight IQ, where Julian Marquez will essentially block punches with his face in order to land one. And although I do think he probably is the slightly better power puncher in the spot, I just think Barrio's pressure will cause him a lot of problems here. Julian Marquez isn't a guy that really likes to get pressured. Even seen like the Gregory Rodriguez fights too. Like he's really willing just to take a lot of punches to give one back. And Barrio's the type of guy that will mix in his takedowns. He's very comfortable holding people up against the cage and just kind of killing minutes or winning minutes, like depending on how you look at it, right? He's just more comfortable going in there and performing at a game plan level, where Julian Marquez kind of needs to get his ass kicked in order to win a fight. And I just don't think Barrio will go in there and give him that type of fight.
And let me ask you, if Barrio doesn't get caught in a submission in his last fight, what do you think this line would be sitting at right now?
Yeah, it'd be definitely slightly higher. It's out of pick him for that reason for sure.
100%. That's the reason why the line's there. And that's why I just don't know if we're going to see something like that again. I mean, I think if that happens again, shame on us. But the reality of the fact is I just don't see him getting caught something, 2 times in a row. High level guys doesn't seem to happen to too many high level guys. And if it does, they're exposed. And he's been around for some time now at the UFC level. I'm on the Barrio side so much so that I just see the angle. Like he just seems like Marquez is a perfect matchup for him. May want to make it a play, but it would obviously be one of my plays, specifically not to the podcast. So next fight on the card, a line that I don't want to touch. Ian Gary, you can never touch his lines. He will be a fadeable character at some point. I don't know. Maybe he goes on to win a championship, but at some point that line is going to get caught up with him. So we have Ian Machado Gary, 10-0-0 against Kenan Song, 19-6-0, and Kenan Song coming in as the dog, plus 500 at DraftKings, and you could get Ian Gary or Ian Machado Gary minus 625 at DK. Pretty strong opinions on how this fight is exactly going to play out, but not touching it. So I'll leave it to you to break down, and I will follow up.
Yeah, like there's nothing really to say, to be honest, on this one. Like I'll be the first to say I'm not an Ian Gary believer. I think this guy's limit and his potential is not that high in the division, and I think he gets exposed relatively quickly. That being said, this is the definition of cherry picking. Like the UFC is giving him fights that he should not lose. But even in the fights that he's won, he's kind of had struggled to get there. So, as I said, I'm not high on Ian Gary, but I think the line's correct. I think he'll be able to come out here, and I think he'll be able to KO. I can't even remember who's fighting. He'll be able to KO Kenan Song. He's a good dude. He didn't look well. He had that fight with Max Griffin. Got KO'd in the first round. Didn't look good. Hasn't fought again since 2020 against 2 guys that are no longer in the UFC. And the only time he's faced anybody who's actually of like UFC caliber was Alex Moreno, and he got his ass kicked in that fight. So once again, man, this is cherry picked. Like
I think he sort of plays into Machado. I'm just gonna say Gary. He's gonna play into Gary's wheelhouse perfectly. When he's a little bit lower volume, but when he does march forward, he marches through in a flurry. And I think Gary's gonna be able to, move off laterally one way or the other and just land where he needs to, march forward when he needs to, counter where he needs to. His scrambles are there and his underhooks are there, and he does have a strong grappling game too. But man, earlier on, like he did sort of seem like a potential fade. Like you just don't know. You're sort of weary about it. At that number, it's just way too high. And I think you said the line is about right. It's not though. It's just not because he does leave himself exposed to potentially get hit, and it's a fight. One guy gets cracked on the jaw, and that's it. If you leave yourself exposed to be hit, you shouldn't be a 650. And although he does run a good distance game, there's times where you see this little blip where he gets caught. That being said, he is training once again at a high level camp at Killcliff. He's only going to get better and better. And we can't Ode Osborne is a perfect example of this. People fading Ode Osborne like crazy last fight. I didn't understand why. I got that Johnson had clean boxing, and people were fading Ode, saying that he was more of the explosive athlete. But look at the leaps and bounds from fight to fight. The wrestling that was there, the cardio that was there, the striking, even the setups, the combinations, it was all there for him. He did great in that fight. So,
yeah, and like
leaps and bounds, people get better, right? So,
to add
what
to
I was
that
gonna say,
point though,
sorry with the line though with Song. I mean, he could clip him, so that's why the line shouldn't be that wide. But all things aside, Machado Gary is top 5 guy, but I just don't know if he's ever going to be a champion. Ciryl.
you think he's gonna be top 5? I don't think this guy breaks the top 10.
I think he'll break the top 5, but I think, well, then again, it's going to depend also that there's so many good guys now.
Yeah,
that it's a timing thing, right? There's going to be a timing thing that sort of is allotted to that as well too. Because I don't know, man. We'll see. I just don't know if he's hit that top level yet, where we've really seen him tested. And it may be that fade spot.
yeah,
Next
yeah. I
fight
don't know.
next fight on the card, we have Mana Martinez 10-3-0. The dog that could be had at plus 250 at DraftKings against I believe it's not his debut. This is his second fight. Yeah, second fight. That's right. It is a second fight. Plus Dana White Contender Series. Cameron Simon coming in. Yeah, he had his 2 KOs on Dana White Contender Series, and then obviously in his last fight. But Cameron Simon 7-0-0 minus 300 at DraftKings. I mean, I get it. I know that people look at him and they see this guy sort of looks a little like the maybe a mold of Jack Della Maddalena, where he works that body, where he works the head so well, and he's able to actually get guys out of there pretty good with his combinations and his power. But man, this line's wide for someone who hasn't really fought a level yet. And although Mana has really showed blips of, I don't know if he believes in himself or what it is, a mental thing. I think he's better than he's shown. And when I talk this way, it's not because I'm shitting on him. I actually think he's very talented. I just don't know if it's translated. Like he was knocking guys out pre-UFC, and it's not translating in the UFC. Although he's knocking guys down, he's not quite getting guys out of there. And with I think Cameron Simon's just a monster. But at minus 300, I don't know, man. I think he's definitely going to win this fight. It's my pick. Just the way he fights, he smells blood in the water. He goes for it. But the line's a little wide for me. I may just stay off this one. What's your take?
Yeah, so this card's filled with show me spots, and I think this is the one that's probably going to fuck people's parlays. I think Mana's not necessarily the better fighter, but I think he's the more developed, more experienced fighter. He's trained. Well, he used to train with Krause. That's the reason why I haven't pulled the trigger on this one, to be honest, is the fact that like he hasn't really been actively posting where he's training, nor has he disclosed it. And with the whole Krause drama, it does kind of worry me, like how his training is actually going, or where he's actually like implementing these new things to help him advance. But I think Mana he's got the experience. He's got the UFC experience. He's got KO power. Cameron is very young, very inexperienced. And yeah, whatever. Like the dude looks like a stud, but he's fought literal cans on the regional scene. So to come in against a guy who has the level of experience that Mana does, and to place him at minus 300, I think is crazy wide. Like, I won't be surprised if he comes in here and wins this fight, but I think Mana is like the dog of the week if you're looking at like one of these show me spots fights and looking for who's probably going to fuck your ticket. It's probably going to be Mana of all the ones that are out here. So I don't have official play on him, but I'm going to side with Mana in this one. I think experience is going to trump this one.
But you're officially saying that Mana Martinez is the ticket fucker of the week.
I think so, yeah. Because I said the card's filled top to bottom with show me spots. Like, it's a big pay-per-view. They want their stars to shine. I just think this is the guy that probably screws you over.
So, like, Mana's going to, like, this is going to be obviously an explicit podcast, but Mana's going to, like, basically, Never mind. You know what? I'm not going to say what I was going to say. We'll keep it somewhat PG. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could see it too, and that he sort of had a little bit more of that experience in the UFC, and that's why I think the line sort of scares me. This might be one I look at a little bit live, see if I can catch him on at plus money going into the second round. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that if he shows up, but at the same time, it's just that mental thing. It's like he shows up, but he just doesn't quite believe, and I think he needs to pull the trigger more and believe in himself because the power's there and the technique's there. So, regardless, we shall move on, and I digress. Next fight on the card.
Yeah, I like Tabitha Ricci a lot in this fight, man. I think that the grappling is going to show through like leaps and bounds. And although I think Penny may be a slightly better striker, and that's probably a stretch, I think that Tabitha Ricci is just going to be able to take her down early and often. The line's wide, women's MMA. Phil Greasy is probably going to a decision, but I think Ricci just is the side on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could say that Penne actually has better striking, but then again, I think we're sort of splitting hairs because it's just nothing much to talk about on either end. This is a grappling matchup, and Ricci being the side, I still think the line either way is a little bit wide. But regardless, Ricci is a side for me. Penne, it's just a matter of time, I think. You know, she is a fade, and it's only gonna be a matter of time before the wheels come off and she retires. Because how long do you keep fighting at a level when maybe the belt's not in contention for you? So, next fight on the card, we have Farid Basharat minus 400. Could be had best bet stamp bet. Could be had a cool bet. A lot of the lines, you know, the better lines could be had a cool bet. 9-0-0 could be had, as I said, a cool bet. And Damon Blackshear 12-4-1, big dog plus 390 at DraftKings. And the Basharat brothers, obviously, these big, wide, crazy lines. And although their level is so, it's there. And if you watch tape, it's definitely there. This line's too wide for me to really touch. I'm going to let you take it away, and then I'll jump in with my breakdown.
Yeah, honestly, it's tough, right? Because the Basharat brothers, they are two guys that are definitely on the upswing in their careers. They're definitely making a name for themselves in the UFC. Damon Blackshear, he's a good fighter. Came in the last fight short notice, and they're really not doing him any favors in this one, though. I think that with Basharat, he'll be able to control the fight at distance and kind of win this fight wherever he wants. I don't really think there's too much to go into detail on this one because, as I said, he's got the grappling advantage and he has the striking advantage. It's just a really matter of how you want to play how he wins this fight. If you think, you know, Blackshear is going to survive 15 minutes, or if Basharat's going to be able to go there and get him out of there. Because if one thing is true about these guys is that they fight with impeccable fight IQ and that they are not chasing finishes. Nope. They will do what they have to do to win the fight, and if the finish presents itself, they will take it. But they do not rush to get them.
They are the definition of the fight. Let the fight come to them. You're 100% right with that. His distance control is just like his brothers, both of them very similar in their styles. They work their footwork so well, and when it comes down to the grappling side of things, their underhooks are there. They scramble so well, and as they're scrambling, they're thinking, right? They're so good in those transitions. It's actually, it's sort of scary to see, and I love when you see fighters that take advantage of those transitional moments. You know, some fighters can be good at boxing, can be good at jiu-jitsu, but if you can't transition from point to point and be so well when it scrambles or whatever else, and look to take an elbow or look to take a, you know, a key lock when you're standing up against it, whatever it is, you know, these guys are just so good at it. They're opportunistic with everything they do as well too, but they won't overcommit. The fight IQ is definitely there. Blackshear pretty much has a submission situation for himself, and that's just not there in this fight. So definitely the line, I think Basharat's probably a parlay piece. If you find a parlay, maybe at minus 400, you parlay that into something. Best bet stamp bet, a cool bet. If you're looking to parlay, it's probably your best book to look at this week. Next fight on the card, and I'm going to be very interested to see if the line drops. Actually, I'm going to let you maybe jump in here. We have a PFL veteran in Loic Radzhikov. Definitely big on this guy, although he has had a little bit of up and down time in the PFL. Against Esteban Robovic, big win in you know, the Dana Contender Series. What's the line on this? If you did find a line, it may not be out yet because this fight, literally, this guy is taking on days' notice. Loic, a, you know, stoic vet, jumping in on short notice. What's the line if you can see it?
Loic's a minus 235 with the return on Esteban at plus 185.
Yeah, and that sounds about right. I think people could argue one way or the other and say that Robovic is going to do himself a justice in this fight, but I think when you have a strength of schedule in Loic, I think he's just definitely going to ride in this one. So that's the line. That may be a parlay piece. Even on short notice, I just think he's going to be able to do it. I think there's going to be a levels game to this one. Power in his hands, very opportunistic in the grappling with elbows, and just it's damage from his end. It's damage from both ends. Maybe fight doesn't go the distance. Actually, might be a play on this one, but especially because it's short notice. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take on this one? Loic against Esteban.
Well, I think I agree with you. I think Loic's the side. I think the grappling advantage is going to be there night and day. But Esteban throws like crazy, and Lovic tends to slow down in a lot of his fights. So I would ride this one with caution. As I said, the line isn't necessarily wide given the fact it's a short notice fight, but Lovic can get clipped. He goes in there with his hands down low, and I said he tends to leave himself open there to be punished. So I still think he wins. I think he'll be able to get the takedowns early and often. But if he starts to fade or starts to gas because he can't get Esteban out of there, it's a good live betting opportunity because Esteban's there from round 1 to the end of round 3. So
You think this goes the distance at any clip, or do you think we could get
no,
it?
I think it's violence all day.
Okay, so we'll look at the violence spot on this, and what's that line sitting at? Not out yet.
No.
Okay, so let's just go back because I know that we got to get this wrapped up, and we will make our official picks. So we'll start at the top. We have Jon Jones against Ciryl Gane, and that will be a bet. Right now, I don't have a beard, but my wife enjoys me growing one. So if I have to shave it again, that's going to be unfortunate, and it creates bullshit for me. So there is a loss with it. So we'll put that on the line once again against you just drinking a fucking beer out of a shoe, and I think you're all right with it, to be honest. Maybe out of your dirty work boot. No, don't do that. Don't do that. So we'll do that. I think I'm on the Jones side. You're on the Ciryl Gane side. I think Jones takes him down and wrestle fucks him and just beats him up. You think Gane likely clips him, catches him. So we'll leave that one there. Next fight that we, obviously we're on Shevchenko in this fight. I just think she has the advantage everywhere against Grasso. Neal against Rachmanov. We're both on the Rachmanov side. Then we have Jalen Turner coming in at a plus 185 dog. Now, we don't have too many picks on you. What do you want to do with this one? Do you think we go Jalen Turner inside the distance? Or do
I
you
think so.
as a prop play? Do you want
Yeah,
to
I
make
think
that
that's a
play?
Yeah, I agree.
Just for the short notice, and it's a little bit more of a storyline that we're running with it, a little bit of a narrative, but let's do it. So what's Jalen Turner inside the distance? Because we don't want to make him the dog. We can still make it as part of a play. You can hit him at plus 185 and hit him inside the distance.
Sitting at plus 350.
Jalen Turner inside the distance plus 350 will be one of our prop plays of the week. Once again, if Jalen Turner doesn't win the fight, it doesn't mean it was a bad bet. I just think that his win condition's likely inside the distance, and Gamrot could put himself in a bad situation. On the feet, I think he gets touched pretty bad. And then on the ground, there's opportunities for Turner, and there's potentially a gas situation. I don't know how Gamrot comes in on short notice and see how he responds. Okay, we have the Bo Nickel fight. We're staying off because that line's crazy. I think we're both on the Cody Garbrandt side of things. So dog of the week, Derek Brunson, plus 215 at Cool Bet. A guy who was on a great winning streak, and the wrestling's there. I think the fade is on him right now because of the judges and wrestling being sort of something that people aren't looking at. I think he potentially win inside the distance the way you were thinking. Duplessis will be there for the takedowns all day. Maybe even look at Brunson and try to get him on over in the takedowns. I think he's going to take him down a lot.
Yeah.
If not, like it's going to be either a lot of takedowns or earlier finish. But I'm on Brunson. I think the line's just crazy. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I think that we found a spot, definitely. So Brunson's our dog of the week at plus 215. Next, we move on to Marc-Andre Barriault. I mean, we don't really have a money line play. And I get that he's had sort of this scenario, but like, how confident do you feel Barriault could win this one? I'll make it my play officially if I have to, but how do you feel
I'm pretty
about that
confident.
money line?
I think Barriault
it's a
rides.
solid money line play. I think I know that we once again get called out for riding Canadians, but we're fucking winning, aren't we?
That's it.
I think we're fucking winning, aren't we? So call me a homer, call him a homer. But what
Paying
happened
the
last week?
bills.
Marc-Andre Barrios. So BetStamp bet at bet99 minus 129. That's going to be our money line play of the week. I think, like you think, as far as the pressure, as far as the volume, I think that creates a problem for Marquez. I think that Marc-Andre Barrios stays away from any potential submission situations, which is why the line is where it is. And I think if Barrios didn't get submitted in his last fight, the line's a lot wider for him. So I think it's value. I think minus 129. Barrios touches him early and often, and maybe gets him out of there early and often.
For sure.
So that'll be our money line play of the week. And I believe that is about it. Now, do you feel like there is value in any kind of a parlay, or do you want to just leave those as it is? We can go short and sweet.
I think you leave it as it is, man. There's too much chalk on this card. You're going to make a parlay and somebody's going to burn you.
Now, is there any other props that you might want to look at? Because we were looking at, like, maybe we do 2 fights, don't go the distance. So maybe build this right now over on live, and then we'll call it a day. Let's look at the first fight of the night. We'll look at Loic and Esteban. Fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah.
Pair that up with Cody Garbrandt and Trevin Jones. Fight doesn't go the distance. And what do we got?
I don't have the lines yet.
That's
I can
fine.
see them.
We put it out
but-
there in the universe. People can put that together. That will be our violence parlay.
I love it.
So we got a violence parlay. We got a money line, I think, that we found value on. We got a dog, I think we found value on. And we just can't seem to not touch the Jalen Turner side of things. And, you know, because we don't have 2 dogs of the week, we go with a prop inside the distance. Hopefully it doesn't come to burn us and Turner wins by decision. But anyways, I think I can live with that, to be honest, because we're going to hit the plus 185. We'll do it like a package play, plus 185, and then you hit the prop as well, too. But anyways, we will leave it there. I think we hit every point. What a big card. It's a late night. I know you got to get rolling here because you got to work early in the morning. So I will not hold you back, my friend. For Nick Eagle-Eye, I'm Callum McGregor. Once again, check out the BetStamp app. Promo code Don't Tap, DONTTAP, Don't Tap at BetStamp. And for Nick Eagle-Eye, I'm Callum McGregor. We like to break down tape. We like to be able to line our pockets while lining yours. And I mean, up here in Canada, I don't know what we do. What do we do, Rafi?
All these motherfucker from Canada. Shit. What they do in Canada? I don't know.